If you want to be a leader, it's an art and a skill, but there are certain laws that you can embrace, that you can count on time after time. Let's go over a few more of those. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, we inspire. We're working on a series based upon the book, The Leadership Secrets of Attila the Hun, by a gentleman named Wess Roberts, who happens to be a PhD. This was a book when I was a puppy in the field that was sort of the Think and Grow Rich of its day. I don't know why you don't hear much about it now. It's a great book. The principles of leadership that are taught in this book are timeless, and it's a fun presentation because the author is taking the view of being Attila the Hun, and this is how I treat the Huns, and this is how I treat chieftains, and this is how I focus on the enemy. All of these different factors, and it makes it kind of a fun way to learn. Once again, when you're teaching something, they say the message is the medium. The way you do it allows people to remember something more. As a school teacher, that's something, if you could teach something and have it done in a fun way. I remember learning my multiplication tables because the teacher would have a baseball diamond, and she would have, at each base, a different, 3 times 4, 3 times 8, and then you had to say what it was, going, and there was a competition with it. How you do things, if you make it fun, that's a great thing to do. So let's get right to the next point, which is accountability. Once again, we're quoting right from the book, and I'm going to give you my 2 cents after we do it. Accountability. Learning to account for personal actions and those of subordinates is fundamental to leadership. Chieftains must never heap praise or lay blame on others for what they themselves achieve or fail to accomplish, no matter how glorious or grave the consequences. Okay, one of the things that you want to do is be accountable. All right, when I was working with my offices, we were accountable to do a minimum of $10,000 a week in annualized premium. Once again, this was financial services, the insurance business. $10,000 of annualized premium. That's what new customers were going to be contributing to the company that got happily involved with our product and service. Now, we were accountable for that. So we needed to have Monday morning, when we would ship business, $10,000 in productivity, annualized premium. So if you went out and you made your commitment and you reached your commitment and the office was over 10,000, then have a nice weekend. You say that on Friday night, we'll see you on Monday. If you didn't have your personal commitment, or if the office did not have its commitment of 10,000, then you were out in the field on Saturday. You were out in the field on Sunday. Now, what happens there? Okay, let's suppose there's somebody that's, and most of these were younger people, people in their 20s that were coming to do this. It took some physical and emotionally, took some strength, to go out in the field during those times. And you're out there knocking on doors, okay? So, it's challenging. And so what do you suppose would happen? Well, somebody with a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a husband or a spouse, or, husband or wife, say, you're out there Saturday, you're out there Sunday. It's like, so what do you say to these people? Very simple. Here's what we said to them. We said, you know what? You don't have to come in on Saturday and Sunday. You're part of the 95% crowd. That's the way the 95% crowd thinks. I work Monday through Friday, and then I'm done. I have a salary, you have a salary mentality. That's a salary mentality. We were training people to be the managers of their own offices. You're focused on results. You're not focused on time. So you make a commitment to reach a certain goal, a certain objective, and it doesn't matter how quickly or how long it takes to get it, you will not be denied that commitment. Every day before we go out and hit the field, we look in the mirror and said, I will go out and I will produce, and each person would, say what it was they were going to produce. I'm going to go out and have 3 sits and 2 sales. Or I'm going to go out and produce $100 of monthly premium, $1,200 of annualized premium. Whatever it was that they said, whatever it was they committed to, you look it in the mirror, and then they would say, I can, I will, I must, and tomorrow I will say, I did. And you would look in the mirror, and then everybody would be clapping, and we'd have loud music going during this time, because then the people would have to speak more loudly when they were making their commitment and bring more passion. You follow what I'm saying here? Accountability. And the more you can make that not only a physical, overcoming physical challenges, but also emotional challenges, create that tenacity, that is a key element. So having that accountability. Next, responsibility. Leaders are only necessary when someone is to be responsible to see that actions are carried out and directions followed. No king or chieftain or subordinate leader should ever be allowed to serve who will not accept full responsibility for his actions. Okay, you have a responsibility. My responsibility at that time was to make sure that the office reached a certain production. After all, the big company is paying for the rent, they're paying for the secretaries, the administrative assistants, they're paying for all of the things that are needed to run an office. That's what they were responsible for. What I was responsible for was to make sure that the production level was reached, that the bills could be paid. That was a mantra that we passed along. As soon as you walked in the door and said, I want to be a manager, said, okay, you want to be a manager? Great. We need to change your mindset. We need to get you out of the 95% crowd, out of the 95% thinking, put you in the 5% thinking, where you focus on results. You don't focus on activity. Key thing is results. And that was preached and followed and led by example all the time from day one. And so when people would come in, they would look, you look up to a certain person, and it says, okay, these are the things he's doing, these are the results he's getting, these are the fruits of the, that he's enjoying financially. I want to enjoy those. I'm going to embrace those same habits. It's a teaching mode. It's leading by example. Responsibility is something that you teach somebody, leading by example. And it's something as a leader that you must have. I'm responsible for that production. Now, whether I go up, when I first started an office, when I first went to, let's say, San Diego, and, the office, we had a manager in there that had been there for a couple of years that wasn't doing any, the office wasn't producing. Bob Anderson said to me, he said, hey, great, you get San Diego, that's the office you wanted, you earned it. I want $10,000 out of that office. Now, if you have to write $5,000 of that yourself going out in the field, so be it. If you don't, that's fine. But I want a minimum of $10,000 of annualized premium. You are responsible. So responsibility means getting the job done, means sometimes you have to roll up your sleeves and get out there and do the busy work, the grunt work to get the job done. That was the case with me. And at the same time, I'm also teaching and developing people. You follow what I'm saying? Responsibility is a key thing. Credibility. Chieftains must be credible. Their words and actions must be believable to both friends and foe. They must be trusted to have the intelligence and integrity to provide correct information. That is, people who are lacking credibility will not gain proper influence and are to be hastily removed from positions of responsibility, for they can't be trusted. You say you're going to do something, you got to do it. Simple as that. Bob, I'm going to get $10,000. Great, go get it. All right, I'm going to do more. Now, as my office grew, then that $10,000 became $15,000, became $20,000, depending upon the number of people that I had there. Now, keep in mind, I'm always promoting people to positions of leadership, and I'm losing their production because they're producing in another office. Of course, I get a piece of their action when they're in another office. But for my office, I still have that same minimum commitment that I have to achieve. Do you follow what I'm saying? You have to have that credibility that you're going to get that job done. And you get that by saying you're going to do something and then doing it. Tenacity. The quality of unyielding drive to accomplish assignments is a desirable and essential quality of leadership. The weak persist only when things go their way. The strong persist and pursue through discouragement, deception, and even personal abandonment. Pertinency is often the key to achieving difficult assignments or meeting challenging goals. The key thing is you've got to have tenacity. And it depends what game you're playing. I was in financial services, the insurance game. As I've told you the story, I started in Oklahoma City for the first week or so that I was there. Even a little longer than that, we weren't getting business done. Now, I had done a lot of business. I was one of the top producers in the whole company. I knew that I was doing the right stuff. I had the tenacity, and I knew that it was a game of numbers. That, right now I'm getting all the bad, you say to yourself, I'm getting all the bad stuff out of the way, because then the good stuff's going to come. And then when push came to shove, I had that perfect day with somebody I took out in the field, and we wrote everybody that we saw. We made a ton of money that one day, and the guy said, wow, you did everything you said you're going to do. And I said, the key thing is, it's a game of numbers. You have the tenacity. Now, the same thing is true with you on the success level, all right? One of the things that people do is they'll try certain things, they're not successful, and then they get distracted and they do something else. If you really want to succeed, you have to have that tenacity. And here's something that will help you keep that tenacity. You need to say to yourself that I only need to succeed big one time. You can hit a grand slam with one at bat, and instead of scoring 4 runs, you can score 16 runs, 100 runs in the wonderful world of business. It's not like baseball where you can only score 4. But you have to have the tenacity, and you say to yourself, I only have to succeed one time, and then I'm there. One time. And then I can build on that. You follow what I'm saying? So have that tenacity to get that job done. Dependability. If a chieftain cannot be depended upon in all situations to carry out his roles and responsibilities, relieve him of them. A king cannot observe each and every action of his subordinate chieftains. Therefore, he must depend upon them to get things done. Young chieftains should understand that Huns serving above and below them in the tribe and nation are counting on their ability to lead, and they should be proud of being entrusted with responsibility. You've got to be dependable. You've got to be somebody that can be counted upon. Just as you're a parent with your kids, if you tell your kids you're going to do something, you got to do it. You got to do it. Why? Because if you don't do that, you're giving them permission to not be dependable. You're leading by example. Dependability is one of the biggest things that there is. And one of the things that Bob Anderson taught me was, if you say you're going to do something, you've got to do it. You can't come up with the excuses. You've got to be there. So if you're going to meet somebody at a certain time, make sure that you're 15 minutes early or half an hour early. I had meetings with Bob Anderson. I was never the first one at the meeting. I tried sometimes to beat him, but he always made sure that he was there first. Dependability, somebody that can be counted upon. And here's his why and because, and this is a great lesson to learn. If you fail to be dependable, to do the things that you said you were going to do, you've just given the people that work with you permission to do exactly the same thing. And they will choose the most inconvenient time for you to be independable. Does that make sense? So be dependable, because if you're not, you've given permission for somebody else to be not dependable, and they will choose the worst time, create the worst circumstances, the worst consequences for you. Important rule of leadership. Okay, next time, more rules. And until that time, let's not ration the passion, let's fashion the passion. I'm Eli's dad.